Rebirth 1999. Opening the Black Technology Era Introduction. Upon waking up, Chen Xiao, a tech elite and business genius, was reborn into a parallel world in 1999, standing at the entrance of the college entrance examination as another self. This year OICQ has just been born, and employees of the Goose factory pretend to be girls and chat with male netizens. Ma Yun was treated as a fraud and forced to leave Yanjing to start a business in Suzhou and Hangzhou. Li Hong rented 2 rooms at the Yanjing Hotel and discussed the embryonic form of whiteness this year. Chen Xiao led a black technology guide for the future world, from social software to domestic systems, from domestic chips to artificial intelligence, from biological new energy to DNA reshaping to fight cancer. From quantum technology to anti-gravity engines, winning the title of Forbes and dominating global media, he suddenly realized that he had accidentally changed the world. Chapter 1. Rebirth 1999. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Bang! A chalk tip hit Chen Xiao's head. Teacher Liao frowned and his voice increased a bit. Tomorrow is the first consultation, so everyone should cheer up a bit. I just talked about a scoring problem, but many of you can't afford it. Now let's continue to look at this problem. Find the equation for the circle with the smallest distance of x.2 y equals 0. Chen Xiao was startled and turned around to look at everything in front of him. A teacher wearing thick glasses is writing math questions on the blackboard, and the countdown to the college entrance examination is hanging on the wall next to it. December 16, 1999. With 205 days left until the college entrance examination, July 1999. Chen Xiao was a bit confused. He just drank a little too much and stayed overnight in a hotel. Why did he end up in 1999? Chen Xiao opened the somewhat mottled iron stationery box on the desktop and illuminated himself with the reflective lining inside the box. It still looks like that, but it's much younger. My name is still Chen Xiao, but my experience is completely different. Before her rebirth, Chen Xiao resigned from a research institution and went overseas to start a business. Eventually, she became the CEO of a technology group with assets worth billions of yuan. Her industries involved healthcare, artificial intelligence, and more. Although she was unmarried, she did not lack women. The memory of this body immediately flooded into Chen Xiao's mind. And now, although Chen Xiao has the same name and appearance as himself, his life experiences are completely different. Although he has good grades, his family is quite difficult. My father is Chen Chang, an ordinary worker at a state-owned machinery factory in Jiangqing, while my mother, Lin Hui, has no job. She sets up a stall outside the machinery factory's residential area to sell breakfast and stationery, and our family's days are very tight. Chen Xiao's parents, who were both university professors and doctors before his rebirth, died in a car accident at a very young age. The time is completely wrong. Chen Xiao, who was born before his rebirth, was only born in 2019. If explained by comparative metaphysics, Chen Xiao was reborn into a parallel world of himself, and his time and space were somewhat chaotic. Chen Xiao looked at this unfamiliar era and was stunned. He doesn't want to be reborn. From a big boss to an ordinary high school student, starting from scratch and striving. Chen Xiao is tired of thinking about it. Mathematics teacher Liao looked at Chen Xiao, who was lost in thought, and patted the table heavily, asking, "Who knows this question?" He has high hopes for Chen Xiao. Although his family conditions are not good, he works hard and is a good student. Teacher Liao waited for a while, only to find that no one had raised their hand to answer, and the students looked at the question with confusion, not knowing where to start. He called out, "Chen Xiao, come up and answer." Chen Xiao's mind was still in a daze at the moment, but the teacher called out and he still walked up. On the blackboard, there is a math problem. Suppose a circle satisfies. The chord length obtained by cutting the y-axis is 2, it is divided into 2 arcs by the x-axis, and the ratio of their arc lengths is 3.1. Among all circles that satisfy conditions n, find the center of the circle to the straight line, iota. The equation for the circle with the smallest distance of x.2y equals 0. This question is very simple. In this era, the math questions in the 1999 college entrance examination were much simpler than in my own time. Moreover, Chen Xiao was originally engaged in scientific and technological work, and this aspect of mathematics is not difficult for him. Chen Xiao picked up the chalk and wrote the answer on the blackboard. If the center of the circle is P, A, B, and the radius is R, then the distances from point P to the x-axis and y-axis are respectively B, A. His chalk handwriting was smooth and powerful, and a few minutes later, Chen Xiao finished writing the answer. The classroom in the afternoon was very quiet, with everyone breathing nervously. Teacher Liao stood behind Chen Xiao, watching his answer while nodding non-stop. Undoubtedly, I am a student whom I value. The whole class can't do it, only Chen Xiao can. The girl sitting not far in front of Chen Xiao, Shen Wei, was staring intently at Chen Xiao's problem-solving steps and quickly comparing her ideas with her own. Then Shen Wei bit her lips and took out a notebook to record all the answers. Shen Wei's desk mate, Su Qiao, had an uncomfortable expression on her face, muttering to herself without knowing what she was saying. When Chen Xiao finished writing, the whole class burst into enthusiastic applause. It's indeed Chen Xiao. Only he can answer. This question is so difficult. Chen Xiao wrote the steps for solving the problem, but I can't understand them. Just as Chen Xiao was about to walk down, some information suddenly came to his mind. Influence plus 3, cumulative influence 3. Technology tree. Medical biology, not lit up, physical and chemical machinery, not lit up, computer information, not lit up, Note. Increasing the influence to a certain value can unlock a bit of future technology. Unlocking the first technology requires 20 points of influence. Chen Xiao is a bit confused. Emotion itself not only brought Rebirth to 1999, but also brought about a future technological system. How can we increase influence? I just arrived at the podium and answered questions in front of many people, which amazed everyone and increased my influence. If the subsequent exams result in better grades for the entire class or even the entire school, can we gain more influence? In 1999, it was the eve of the Great Wind Mouth. The stock market, real estate, Bitcoin, and internet technology have exploded. If you catch any of these outlets, pigs can fly into the sky. Teacher Liao applauded happily and said, Chen Xiao, go down and remember to rest early at night, otherwise you won't be energetic in class. Chen Xiao wanted to gain some influence and said, Teacher, I have another solution. What? Not only Teacher Liao, but also the whole class were shocked. It's already amazing to be able to write a solution to such a difficult math problem. Chen Xiao actually has a solution. Shen Wei's hand was frozen in the air, and she looked up at Chen Xiao. Su Qiao's face was even more ugly. UUKeungshu.net was still pondering what was going on with the solution just given by Chen Xiao. Chen Xiao continued to write on the blackboard, Solution 2. Consider it as a quadratic equation of B. Since the equation has real roots, the discriminant is non-negative, that is, equals 8, 5d 2.1, greater than or equal to 0. In 5 minutes, Chen Xiao finished the second solution with great enthusiasm. Teacher Liao praised the second solution while looking at it. This method is more clever and simple than the first one, but the applied knowledge points need to be more solid and varied. Now Teacher Liao took the lead in applauding. Very good. Our classmate Chen Xiao is really good. Mathematics is not just a simple calculation, but a way of thinking. Please actively learn from Chen Xiao. The classmates were discussing incessantly. That's amazing. If Chen Xiao's English is a bit better, he could go for the top spot in the college entrance examination. Math Master. It's amazing. Shen Wei watched as Chen Xiao returned to her seat, fiddling with her fingernails, feeling very uncomfortable. Why didn't she even know a solution? Influence +6, cumulative influence 9. The guy behind him, Jiang Wei, also gave Chen Xiao a thumbs up and said, "Xiaozi, you're really amazing." Teacher Liao continued his class, while Chen Xiao did not listen. He took out a notebook and recorded some important things on it. If the history of this world is basically the same as his previous world, even if the level of technology is not consistent, certain trends will definitely emerge. He recalled what he had learned about news and biographies before, and wrote down some important things. The establishment of Penguin Company, free 361 antivirus software, real estate reform, Ali online sales, the birth of Pingua phones, several bull and bear markets in the history of A. shares. Chapter 2. Difficult Old Chen Family. You are listening at Novel Full. Audio. After class, Teacher Liao left Chen Xiao alone. Teacher Liao said to Chen Xiao, your performance today is very good. The big question I just wrote on the blackboard was the last national exam question from last year's college entrance examination, and there are very few students who can solve it. There are no more than 5 students in the city who can solve the problem with 2 solutions. This year, the country has already implemented the 3+X system, and we are participating in the national proposition, which is also a combination of language, mathematics, and comprehensive science. I don't worry about you in any other subjects, mainly your English, which is too lagging behind. The group of people who took the college entrance examination in 1999 had a weak foundation in English, and Chen Xiao's first exposure to English was only in the second year of junior high school. In addition, Chen Xiao's family conditions are not good, and he does not have the opportunity to participate in English training or watch English movies, resulting in a lower level of English proficiency. A week ago, in the final exam, Chen Xiao's performance in science was excellent enough. The only thing that lagged behind was English, with a total score of 150 points. Chen Xiao only scored over 60 points in English. This score is not enough to allow Chen Xiao to be admitted to 211 and 985 universities. I know now, Teacher Liao. Chen Xiao wanted to laugh in his heart. English. Isn't English like playing for him? Before Rebirth, both Chinese and English became the most important languages in the world. Can one's work and business be separated from English? Teacher Liao said with great concern, you know that Teacher Wang in English at our school is a top student who graduated from the foreign language university. Recently, several parents of students have requested that he take a college entrance exam sprint class, which is not expensive. The fee is 50 yuan per month. Why don't you discuss with your family and come to tutoring? In 1999, Chen Chang's salary was only over 400 yuan. If he spent 50 yuan a month on tutoring, his family would definitely not be able to afford it. And since he has survived again, Chen Xiao doesn't want to waste his time on it. He said, thank you, Teacher Liao. I will go back and ask everyone in my family for one thing, and improving English is not a matter of a few days. Teacher Liao listened to Chen Xiao's thoughts and nodded, saying, all right, you can discuss this matter with your family again. Teacher Liao, then I'll leave first. In 1999, there was no mandatory evening self-study at Jiangqing No. 1 Middle School. Most students living in the city would go home after class in the afternoon. In addition, tomorrow is the final exam with separate classes, and Chen Xiao also packed his things to facilitate the teacher's movement of the desks. Chen Xiao went to the parking lot behind the school playground and found his 28 big bars. After Chen Xiao went to high school, the owner of the car changed from Chen Chang to Chen Xiao. At the door, Chen Xiao watched as Su Qiao left the school sitting in Pusan. In this era, being able to run a Pusan made the family very wealthy. He remembered that Su Qiao's father was the director of a state-owned machinery factory, which could be considered a second-generation wealthy man of this era. 20 minutes later, Chen Xiao arrived at the employee family area of the state-owned machinery factory. The bumpy cement road surface, more than 10 messy four-story red brick houses, and the originally unattractive community garden are separated into chicken pens and duck houses, like tumors in the community. When the sun rises, the entire family courtyard is filled with a foul smell. After the housing reform in 1998, the first batch of commercial housing also appeared in Jiangcheng. Those with good conditions in their families went out to buy commercial housing, while those who stayed here were generally ordinary employees or elderly people from different backgrounds. A duck twisted its buttocks in front of Chen Xiao, drinking water from the puddle and not hesitating to see anyone. Chen Xiao looked at this environment. It was 1999. Climb up to the top floor, take out the key, and open the door. Chen Xiao saw two familiar figures in the kitchen, and tears were about to flow. Although it is a parallel world with completely different environments and times, parents look exactly the same. Before his rebirth, Chen Xiao's parents passed away in a car accident very early on. Now, looking at their parents is truly heartwarming. Before Chen Xiao could say hello, he heard his parents arguing in the kitchen. Lin Hui said discontentedly while frying vegetables, "Why did you have to go unloading at night again? Is there no one left in their cargo group? You've been staying up all night, and your iron body can't bear it." Chen Chang smiled and said, "Isn't this a shortage of people in the cargo group? I can earn 10 yuan in overtime pay one night. Xiaozi is going to college soon, and the tuition and living expenses are another sum of money. There is still half a year left, so I can make up more. You just had surgery again and spent a lot of money." Lin Hui underwent surgery for uterine fibroids last week and was discharged the day before yesterday. Lin Hui was very distressed and said, "If you make money, you don't have to worry. I told you to borrow some from your elder sister and third brother, but you don't want to speak up." Chen Chang said, "They are also very specific." Zhou Tao, the eldest sister's son, talked about a girlfriend and said that they are getting married this year. The girl from the third brother's family is also going to college and needs money. The more Chen Chang said, the less confident he was. Lin Hui's eyes turned red and she said, "Their two families have such good conditions. One works in the government, and the other runs a business. When my parents were sick, they didn't care about anything and threw it to us. Now that my parents are gone, they are asking us for this apartment in the family area to share equally. What kind of siblings are these?" Chen Chang said impatiently, Okay, stop talking." Lin Hui couldn't help but say, "Just now, Teacher Liao called and said that Xiaozi's grades are just a drag on English. He wants us to enroll in Teacher Wang's English sprint class, which costs 50 yuan per month." Chen Chang stopped peeling garlic and said, "Why do I have to pay for tuition and other fees?" Lin Hui. "This is the teacher's individual tutoring, and all the students who can go are those who have the hope of getting into key universities in the class. The teacher is not trying to make money. I'll go borrow some." Lin Hui's surgery cost a lot of money. Last week, Chen Chang took care of his wife in the hospital and did not go to the factory. He was also deducted full attendance and did not have a piece rate fee. Old Chen's family can't cook anymore. Chen Xiao walked over and said, "Dad and Mom, I won't go to the English tutoring class anymore. Don't worry about your English grades, I have a clear idea." After Chen Xiao took off his backpack, he began to help. Lin Hui knew at a glance that her son had overheard her conversation with Chen Chang. She gave Chen Chang a fierce glance and said, "You child, how could you not go? Teacher Liao has called me and said you have a lot of hope for attending the key points. My parents have the money for tutoring, so you can go to class with peace of mind." Chen Chang also said, "That's right, Xiaozi. It's not long before the college entrance examination. You can focus on studying and going to tutoring. Don't worry about anything else." At this moment, some decaying wooden doors were knocked on. "It's Aunt Ma downstairs." Aunt Ma held fruit in her hand and said, "I heard that Lin Hui has been discharged from the hospital. I came to see you." Chen Xiao went to wash the cups and pour water, and Lin Hui quickly came over and said, "Sister Ma, you said you came and brought some fruit. Have you eaten? Let's have dinner together." Aunt Ma waved her hand and said, "I won't eat anymore, but there's one thing I can't even talk about. Look at my family. They usually have poor health and often go to the hospital to take medicine, which incurs a lot of expenses. Look, you've been discharged from the hospital." The atmosphere solidified in an instant. Lin Hui was hospitalized and borrowed 200 yuan from Aunt Ma to inquire about repayment. Chapter 3. Adding to the frost. You are listening at Novel Full.audio. Aunt Ma. Every family has difficulties, no one has a patient. Lin Hui, there's nothing I can do about it. Aunt Ma. When you want to borrow money, I won't say a word. We've been neighbors for decades. Aunt Ma. My old man argued with me several times about this matter, and I hope you can understand. It is only natural for Lin Hui to borrow money to repay the debt, but she has just undergone surgery and her family's remaining savings are not even enough for Chen Xiao to attend college. Moreover, Chen Xiao needs more money to attend tutoring classes. Lin Hui hopes that Aunt Ma can take a few more days off. Lin Hui tried her best to persuade Aunt Ma to leave and returned 3 pieces of cured meat that Aunt Ma had just made at home. She also said that she would definitely repay the money for at most 1 month. The atmosphere of the Chen family has once again reached freezing point. On the somewhat dirty and black dining table, there is today's dinner, with a stir-fried preserved meat, stewed chicken with yam, and shredded potatoes. No matter how poor the conditions are, parents always leave the best for their children. The atmosphere of the meal was very oppressive, so Chen Chang hurriedly took a few bites and went to work at the factory. Chen Xiao is telling Lin Hui interesting stories from school, hoping that Lin Hui's mood will be better. There is a big math problem in class today that the whole class doesn't know. I went to the podium to solve it and gave 2 algorithms. Sure enough, when it comes to her son's studies, Lin Hui's mood has improved significantly, and there is a glimmer of hope in her eyes. You just study hard, don't worry about family matters. Lin Hui gave Chen Xiaoxing a bowl of soup. Drink more soup, it takes your brain to solve problems. Exam-oriented education is not very good and has been criticized by various education experts for decades. However, for the old Chen family, getting ahead through college is really the only hope for crossing social classes. After dinner, Lin Hui did not ask Chen Xiao to wash dishes, but instead asked Chen Xiao to come in and read a book. In Chen Xiao's dilapidated small room, there is a poster of a slam dunk master, an old-fashioned recorder on the desk, and next to it are tapes of Andy Lau and Aaron Kwok. Although it is a parallel universe, the history is indeed similar, and the 4 heavenly kings are also here. Chen Xiao took out his notebook and pondered how to make money. The atmosphere of Lao Chen's family is really oppressive, for only one reason. Poverty. Chen Xiao wrote several plans in his notebook. Stock trading. This is not very reliable. It's hard to say whether there is capital or not, first of all, whether the rise and fall of A. shares are consistent in the parallel universe. Buy lottery tickets. Chen Xiao cannot remember the number, even if he remembers the number in the parallel world, it may not be correct. Buying a house. The old Chen family does not have this strength, and besides, buying a house and making money there will be a few years later. Chen Xiao needs to make quick money. Going to coastal areas to sell small commodities or clothing in Jiangqing City. Similarly, Chen Xiao also has no principle. Set up an internet company, kill the budding penguins or 361. Please. At that time, Ma Dashan was also a family's business card maker, pretending to be a girl and chatting with male netizens. It took several years to make a penguin. Make quick money. Make quick money. Chen Xiao immediately turned his gaze to the budding internet cafe. If the parallel universe songs and singers are the same, then the game should also be the same. At this time, the most popular games were single-player games such as StarCraft, Red Alert 95, and CS's master game Half-Life. In the following years, there were relatively popular online games. Legend, Stone Age, Miracle, Jin Yong's Heroes, Magic Baby, and so on. Whether it's single-player or online games, one thing is always indispensable. Cheats. In this era, cheats are still sold directly to internet cafes rather than to individuals. This script or program that hovers on the edge of the law will be the most profitable around the year 2000. Chen Xiao has decided to hope that the school can hold an exam as soon as possible, achieve beautiful results, and increase the impact value to 20, so as to light up the technology tree of computer information. With a background in electronic information-related fields and the added bonus of a technology tree, it shouldn't be a problem to create a few beautiful cheats. After seeing Hope, Chen Xiao relaxed a lot and flipped through the college entrance examination questions to review. With his original body and memories of Chen Xiao's original body, these high school questions were easily solved. At 11 o'clock in the evening, Chen Xiao felt a bit tired and lay in bed, falling into a deep sleep. At 2 o'clock in the morning, Jiangqing State-owned machinery factory. Although it was winter and the weather was cold, Chen Chang still carried steel plates and other goods bare-handed. He was sweating all over and his body was extremely tired. State-owned machinery factory is one of the largest state-owned enterprises in Jiangqing, specializing in the production of some parts and equipment for agricultural machinery. Although the salary is not high, it is relatively stable. Xiangzi, just unload the things here, said the team leader Li Yong. Okay. After unloading the last batch of goods, Chen Chang sat on the ground panting and took 2 sips of cold water. It's too late, and it's not convenient for Chen Chang to go back. He's planning to rest in the dormitory in the factory. At this moment, Gao Hongze, the producer of Factory 1, shouted, Chen Chang, come and help me keep an eye on it. Gao Hongze is the uncle of factory director Su Desheng and the deputy director of the production center. Why is he appointed as the deputy director? It's because I don't have the ability and need treatment, so I usually do some production management work in the factory, which is actually just playing with receiving wages. Today, Gao Hongze is on the night shift. Normally, he should be guarding the CNC equipment for processing and handing it over at 8 o'clock in the morning. However, at this time, he usually sneaks off to play mahjong overnight with friends. Chen Chang, who was originally preparing to go to bed, was very depressed. However, he dared not argue that the efficiency of the factory is not good. He heard that a group of workers will be laid off soon. If he offends the factory manager's uncle, he will be unable to bear it and leave. Chen Chang said, Director Gao, I don't know how to use your machinery and equipment. If anything happens, I won't know. Gao Hongze was unhappy and said, what would it be? These are all German equipment. 1/1,000,000 yuan, all of them are intelligent. Do you understand CNC machine tools? There are technical workers below, you just need to guard them, and you don't need to operate them. Chen Chang was still in a difficult position. Just as he was about to speak, he was interrupted by Gao Hongze, don't tell me that, keep it. After Gao Hongze finishes speaking, he will go to the next door and a few thugs, second generation, in the factory to have barbecue and play mahjong. Chen Chang had no choice but to sleep now. Although Chen Chang works as a piece-rate worker in the lower factory and doesn't know these high-tech equipment at all, he keeps staring at the screen for fear of making mistakes. At 5 a.m., Chen Xiao, who was drowsy, suddenly heard a bang, followed by a burning smell. He was so scared that he quickly stood up and walked out of the central control room. More than 10 CNC machine tools in the workshop were all burned down, and the workers were in a panic. Class monitor Wu Wei hurriedly walked into the central control room, only to find that Gao Hongze was not there. Chen Chang, Director Gao. Oh my! What are you looking at? Watch the center console, why don't you alert the machine in advance if there is a malfunction? This is over. More than 10 devices, over 10 million. What are you responsible for when there is a problem? Wu Wei ignored Chen Chang and quickly picked up the landline to call the factory director. At this point, Chen Chang was already confused. His first reaction was to ignore his affairs and leave. At this moment, Wu Wei shouted, "Why are you running? Stop. You're not allowed to leave until the factory director comes to handle it." How can we capture the impact value in Chapter 4? You are listening at Novel Full.audio. At 6 o'clock in the morning, the sky in Jiangqing is still dark. Although Lin Hui has just been discharged from the hospital, she got up early and prepared breakfast for Chen Xiao before setting up a stall in the community. The income from setting up stalls to sell small commodities is unstable, but if there is a daily income of 5.10 yuan, it is also quite good. After having dinner at home, Chen Xiao rode his bike to school. Before, he used to drive to work, and even 500 meters was too far. Now, in such a cold day, there are several kilometers, and he actually rode his bike. Chen Xiao couldn't help but laugh and cry. Today is the first examination in the city and also the best opportunity for Chen Xiao to gain influence. Chen Xiao is ready to give it his full play. Just as I arrived at the classroom, I was stopped by someone shouting, "Chen Xiao." Shen Wei ran over and said, "Chen Xiao, I wanted to see you after class yesterday, but you didn't even show up." Shen Wei wore a ponytail, her face flushed, and her bright and deep eyes flickered. It has to be said that in this era where there is no makeup or beauty, girls are really beautiful, and Shen Wei has become the school's beauty responsibility. Shen Wei's grades in the class are very good, ranking first in long-term exams. Coupled with her high appearance and affluent family background, she is the envy of many students in the class. Chen Xiao stopped and, after being reborn, chatted with a 17-year-old girl named Xiaoyulai. However, her mentality still hadn't adjusted much and she didn't know how to use a proper tone. "Find me." Shen Wei said somewhat embarrassed, "It's the question you wrote on the blackboard today. I didn't quite understand the second solution process, could you please explain it to me again?" Chen Xiao glanced at the homeroom teacher and math teacher on the podium, "Teacher Liao. Where is the teacher? Why don't you ask me?" Chen Xiao's heart shines without announcement. In fact, the second solution to yesterday's question was very simple. However, in the era when the education of cramming tactics was not yet widespread in 1999, there were indeed some difficulties for many students. Chen Xiao took out paper and pen to write a picture and said, "Actually, the key point of the second solution is to set up an equation, determine whether there are real roots, and finally perform verification. Calculate the center angle of two arcs using the proportion of arc length, then establish an equation, and then determine the real root. The problem that follows will be solved by cutting the edge." Chen Xiao explained in detail, and Shen Wei immediately understood. Shen Wei nodded repeatedly and smiled contentedly, "Now I understand. Thank you, Chen Xiao. Influence +1, cumulative influence of 10. X. Giving lectures can also increase influence. This relationship is so good." Chen Xiao estimated that it would be better to set up a study group in the class and give lectures to everyone every day. Su Qiao, who was drinking high Lego on the side, watched as Chen Xiao gave Shen Wei a lecture. She was very unhappy and said coldly, "It's just one question, what's fake?" Chen Xiao didn't argue back even after hearing this. He's actually in his 30s, so why bother with children? On the contrary, the relationship between the underperforming students in the class and Chen Xiao was very good. Upon learning that they were actually in the same exam room, the deputy class monitor Jiang Wei was extremely excited. Jiang Wei touched Chen Xiao's shoulder and said, "I've seen it. I'll sit next to you and you'll cover the multiple-choice questions for me. I'll invite you to go online later." Jiang Wei's father is a contractor, and he has high expectations for his studies. However, Jiang Wei is determined to end high school quickly and have a fun summer vacation. Chen Xiao really wants to tell him what book to read. Hurry up and ask your dad to buy more houses. In 10 years, you will be doing better than 99% of the class. Seeing that Chen Xiao had not spoken, Jiang Wei became a bit anxious and said, "My good brother, I just want not to be at the bottom, otherwise I won't be able to pay the difference when I go back." Chen Xiao still needs to maintain good relationships with such classmates. Chen Xiao proposed a condition. "You will cover 1 month's meal expenses." Jiang Wei was overjoyed and said, "It's a small idea. Influence plus 2, cumulative influence of 11. Sure enough. Helped Jiang Wei and increased influence. As soon as Jiang Weigang sat down in his seat, Deng Chao, who was second to last in the class, also gave Chen Xiao a glance and said, "Xiaozi, you know my science department is the most difficult. This is a diagnosis, and I need to inform my parents. Can you help me grow a few points?" Deng Chao gritted his teeth and said, "My dad gave me 200 yuan in living expenses this month. As long as I can make progress, I will give you 50 yuan. Is there such a good thing?" However, Jiang Wei is the deputy class monitor, and Deng Chao is the second to last. Both of them need to make progress, and this, wow. "Xiaozi. I'm actually in the same exam room as you. I beg you to give me good luck." This is the third to last Zhang Yi, who placed his hand on Chen Xiao to perform a transmission gesture. Alright, Chen Xiao has already made up his mind. Zhang Yi is definitely the last one this time. Zhang Yi became even happier when he saw Jiang Wei and Deng Chao. "The 3 of us brothers live together today. Fortunately, you all came to take the exam, otherwise I would have been the last one. The bell rings, the exam is coming. The first examination is strictly conducted in accordance with the mode of the college entrance examination, with Chinese language in the morning, mathematics in the afternoon, and English in the afternoon." In terms of Chinese language, Chen Xiao was careless in his exams. Despite being reborn with many poems and reading comprehension techniques, Chen Xiao did not know how to do so. However, there is no problem with his original physical memory. Mathematics is Chen Xiao's strongest skill. He only took 40 minutes to complete the 2-hour exam, and he is confident that he can score above 140 points. The invigilator frowned when he saw Chen Xiao flipping over the exam paper. He saw that Chen Xiao was just a poor student and said, "Take the exam seriously. Don't look around." Chen Xiao asked, "Can I submit my paper in advance?" The invigilator is very angry. The current underperforming students are not serious and are still slacking off. Even if you don't know how to do it, stay with me. The college entrance examination requires you to submit your paper at most half an hour in advance, the invigilator exclaimed sternly. But when he looked at Chen Xiao's exam paper, he was stunned. The answer is densely written on the test paper. The invigilator is also a math teacher, and he looked at the steps to solve Chen Xiao's big problem. The ideas and methods are all correct. What's even more remarkable is that Chen Xiao used 2 methods to solve the last 2 major questions. Generally speaking, there will not be more than 20 students in the entire school who will do the last 2 major questions. What kind of immortal student is this? The invigilator was in shock. Influence plus 1, cumulative influence 12. Chen Xiao is tempted. This can also increase influence. Sure enough, the invigilator's mood immediately calmed down and he said, after finishing, "Check carefully and see if you have filled out the answer sheet or something." Done. Did you finish the exam in just 40 minutes? The 30 students in the examination room looked at Chen Xiao in unison, their eyes full of disbelief. Influence plus 3, cumulative influence of 15. Pretty. If this continues, you can quickly accumulate 20 points of influence and unlock the first technology point. Finally, with half an hour left until the end of the exam, Chen Xiao submitted his paper ahead of schedule and made small notes on the answer methods for multiple choice questions, fill in the blank questions, and the first two major questions, throwing them to Jiang Wei and Deng Chao respectively. This once again gained a wave of influence from the whole class. Influence +1, cumulative influence of 16. Chapter 5. If you can't afford to pay, wait to go to jail. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Chen Xiao estimated that he had already mastered the way to gain influence, and thought about gathering all the underperforming students in the class after a consultation, tutoring and improving their grades to gain a wave of influence. It's already 5 p.m. when I got home by bike, and Lin Hui's small stall at the entrance of the family area is still there, but no one is there. There is no one at home either. Where did the person go? Mobile phones in this era, Motorola flip phones, are not affordable for every household, and Chen Chang's family only installed landline phones at the beginning of this year. Chen Xiao cooked the rice first and waited for the two of them to go home. Seeing Chen Xiao coming back, Grandpa Guo from next door quickly came over and said, "Xiaozi, you've come back. Your father had an accident in the factory, and your mother has also gone." Chen Xiao's heart thumped. Thinking that my parents had a car accident and passed away in the previous life, there shouldn't have been any accidents in this life too. Although only reborn for 2 days, due to the same genes and appearance, Chen Xiao has already regarded the parents in this world as his own. He quickly ran down and rode his bicycle towards the state-owned machinery factory. Jiangqing State-Owned Machinery Factory. The office of the production department is blocked on 3 floors outside, and many workers are watching the excitement. Chen Xiao squeezed in, and the factory director Su Desheng in a suit, production center director Gao Hongze, and class monitor Wu Wei were all present. Chen Chang and Lin Hui, on the other hand, were surrounded by the security office in the factory with a haggard face. Watching the two of them still alive, Chen Xiao breathed a sigh of relief, but what exactly happened? Chen Chang hasn't slept for 2 consecutive days, and after this incident, he has become quite haggard. He explained hoarsely, "Director Su, I was originally called to work overtime last night to move steel plates. It was Director Gao who asked me to guard the central control area. I have no education and do not understand mechanical equipment. After explaining to Director Gao, he still asked me to guard there. I haven't slept for 2 consecutive days and have been working overtime in the factory. Director Gao asked me to stay there last night, and I couldn't even close my eyes. I haven't touched any mechanical equipment. I really don't know if this kind of thing happened." Gao Hongze became anxious and said, "Chen Chang, you are a member of the factory. You can work in any position arranged by the leadership. Yesterday, such a serious incident happened, which is your dereliction of duty." Me. Chen Chang is an honest person, and when Gao Hongze said this, he really didn't know how to argue. At this moment, the equipment department rushed over and said a few words in Su Desheng's ear. Su Desheng's face turned pale at once. The inspection results at the equipment department are out, and more than 10 machine tools have all been burned. The power control device has been burned, which is easy to handle. It can be repaired with some money, but the problem is that it is the motherboard that has been burned now. This batch of CNC machine tools are all imported from Germany, with dedicated chips and motherboards being the core components of the machine tools. If the motherboard is burned, the machine tool will also be destroyed. There is currently no imported motherboard for technical maintenance in China. The equipment has been purchased for several years and has already passed the warranty period. Germany will not send people to repair it for you. The only way is to purchase more than 10 machine motherboards, which will cost tens of millions of dollars. I don't know if there is a motherboard for this model in Germany yet. Su Desheng cannot afford this cost. Su Desheng cannot bear this responsibility. If it's not done well, even the factory director will be dismissed. Su Desheng also knew in his heart that this responsibility should belong to Gao Hongze. After all, Gao Hongze left his post without permission and bears leadership responsibility. But Gao Hongze is his own brother. In law. If he is dealt with, wouldn't that mother tiger in the family be trying her best? Su Sheng quickly calmed down, whether the responsibility for this accident was on Chen Chang's shoulders or not. Su Desheng said to the security office, the cause of the accident has been investigated thoroughly. Chen Chang operated at will on the center console and did not work according to regulations. He will be dismissed first and handed over to the security office for handling. Upon hearing this, Chen Xiao quickly left the office and went to a factory area to check the situation. Sure enough, as soon as I entered, there was a burnt smell. The person at the equipment department had just dismantled all the CNC machine tools, and the wires inside were burnt into a ball. The most serious thing was that most of the motherboard had been melted. It really needs to be questioned whether it can be repaired. Moreover, the reason for the motherboard being burned down is clearly due to unauthorized wiring in a short circuit in a certain area, which caused the device to instantly experience high current passing through. Chen Xiao took a closer look and found that this is a 1995 Demigi 5-axis machine tool. Before his rebirth, Chen Xiao studied integrated circuits during his undergraduate studies. Later, due to work reasons, he had a deep understanding of mechanical equipment. For him, the functions of this machine tool were particularly simple, and the motherboard was also very simple. However, for people in 1999, such motherboards were high-tech products. The workers at the equipment department didn't even pay attention to Chen Xiao. The motherboard is hopeless. It would cost tens of thousands of motherboards to purchase again. Don't say much, the factory director knows how to handle it. Chen Xiao carefully observed the structure of the machine tool and the excuse of the motherboard, and roughly understood the principle. After more than 10 minutes, he left the factory building, and Su Desheng's office was still arguing over who was responsible. Su Desheng said angrily, Chen Chang, all of our equipment is imported from Germany. This time, the motherboard burned out, and replacing the imported motherboard would cost several 100,000 yuan. The equipment department will make a compensation list, and you should compensate as soon as possible. Otherwise, we will transfer you to the public security organs, which will result in a sentence and imprisonment. After saying these words, Su Desheng had a dark face and was about to leave. His mind was now full of thoughts on how to write materials for a while, report to the leaders above, and push all the problems onto Chen Chang. Su Desheng's punishment is certain, but how to maintain his position as factory director is the key. Upon hearing Su Desheng's words, Lin Hui was so scared that she burst into tears. Director Su. Director Su. Chen Chang, he really didn't do anything. He stayed up all night for 2 consecutive nights for the factory, just for a few yuan of overtime pay. Now. How can we compensate hundreds of thousands now? In 1999, Yu reading www.yuukangshu.net, tens of thousands of yuan were astronomical figures, not to mention hundreds of thousands. Chen Chang almost stood unsteadily and fell down. Director Su, I'm not a cultured person. If it were my responsibility last night, I should have taken responsibility and deducted my salary. But if you ask me to compensate for hundreds of thousands, even if you sell me Chen Chang, I won't have that much money. Lin Hui said urgently, Director Su, your Su Xiao is still Chen Xiao's classmate. You must be accommodating about this matter. Su Desheng didn't want to continue his entanglement and said, state-owned factories have factory regulations. If the machine tool can be repaired well, at most, a warning will be given to the responsible person. But this machine tool is imported, and the motherboard has been burned, so we have to spend money to buy it in Germany. There is nothing we can do about the equipment. If I don't hold myself accountable, the higher-ups will hold me accountable. In this era, there are not many private enterprises, and state-owned enterprises have a strong voice. When an irresponsible factory director is encountered, he is really the one who has the final say of the white and the black. If a worker damages factory equipment due to operational errors and cannot afford compensation, they will really go to jail. But the motherboard of the machine tool burned, is it Chen Chang's problem? Chen Xiao was only in the control room yesterday and did not actually operate the machine tool. The burning of the machine tool is mostly due to circuit problems, and has nothing to do with Chen Xiao's halfpenny. Chen Xiao is very familiar with this. Su Disheng's words can deceive other people in the factory, but not Chen Xiao. Watching Su Disheng really want to put this hat on Chen Xiao refused. Chen Xiao stood up and said, "Hold the responsibility accountable and understand the reason. The burning of the machine tool is a circuit problem." What caused the circuit problem? The factory didn't figure it out and labeled it indiscriminately. Are we trying to protect some people? Chapter 6. Carrying the Cauldron. I found the wrong person. You are listening at Novel Full.audio. After Chen Xiao finished speaking, Su Disheng's face immediately turned black. Gao Hongze's heart was even more flustered. Last night, Gao Hongze and a few friends were eating barbecue, drinking alcohol, and playing mahjong in the electric stove next to the factory. The winter temperature in Jiangcheng has reached -0. Last night, 3 electric stoves were heating in the previous room. Gao Hongze didn't even know if the motherboard of the machine tool was burned in the early morning and had anything to do with the 3 electric stoves. He didn't think about it now, let alone say. "Who are you?" the person from the security office rebuked when they saw the unfamiliar and immature face. Chen Xiao. Lin Hui's heart skipped a beat when she saw her son. "Chen Xiao, why don't you go back and read a book for me? Come and join in the fun. Hurry up and go back." Chen Xiao was very eager to find a crack in the ground at this moment. Men can live humbly and without dignity anywhere outside, but they must be a big mountain in front of their children and cannot be looked down upon by them. Chen Xiao didn't want his son to see him in such an embarrassing situation. Seeing that it was Chen Xiao's son, Su Disheng breathed a sigh of relief. What was he afraid of, a stinky kid who was still wet and wet? Su Disheng said to the security office, take it out, take it out." Chen Xiao's heart tightened, afraid that the people in the security office would get rough. He quickly grabbed Chen Xiao and escorted him outside, saying, "You go back quickly. I know how to handle your affairs." Chen Xiao exclaimed loudly, "Director Su, it's my father's responsibility to say that the motherboard of the machine tool is burnt out. This is just to find someone to take responsibility for it. You know the best conditions in my family, and even if my father were to smash the pot and sell the iron, he wouldn't be able to afford to pay for the burnt motherboard. And how did the motherboard of the device get damaged? Just have a more serious electrician take a look and you'll know. This is clearly due to someone using electrical appliances in violation of regulations, and it's also caused by improper circuit overlap. Who is behind the hat when making such a hasty decision? Thinking about baking 3 high-power electric boilers next door last night, Gao Hongze trembled in his heart and said, "You little child, what are you talking nonsense about?" Chen Xiao didn't pay attention and continued, "Even if my dad ended up in prison for causing state-owned asset losses, as the factory director, you are the main leader and cannot avoid punishment. With tens or millions of motherboards, what kind of punishment do you think Su, the factory director, will receive?" Su Disheng's heart pounded as the former director of a state-owned machinery factory in the provincial capital of Jiangzhou City was about to retire. He still wanted to climb another level, but the competition was too fierce. More than 10 machine tool motherboards have been burned out, which will definitely affect production. This matter cannot be concealed. At this critical moment, if disciplined, Su Disheng could basically stay in Jiangcheng for a lifetime. Chen Xiao's expression on Su Disheng's face was full of insight. This was a great opportunity to gain enough influence and perhaps even make the first bucket of gold through this matter. The matter of Chen Xiao being wronged may not be settled like this, but it is not now. Now the other party is clearly trying to cover up the real culprit, and there are many people, black and white are reversed. When arguing about this issue now, Chen Xiao will be at a disadvantage. Chen Xiao felt some attention in his heart and said, "The top priority now is to find a way to repair the motherboard and restore production of the machine tool as soon as possible." As soon as these words were spoken, Director Liu of the equipment department was furious. This kid had been talking nonsense for a long time. The motherboard is all burnt out, how could it be repaired properly? Chen Xiao said, "My uncle knows how to repair it." Ka. When Chen Xiao said these words, everyone was stunned. Lin Hui is also confused. She has a younger brother, but his brother works in the countryside, knows how to kill pigs and fix motherboards. He probably hasn't even heard of what a motherboard is. Chen Xiao continued, "My uncle has just returned from studying abroad in Germany and is studying integrated circuits. Your equipment is a machine tool from Germany 7 or 8 years ago, and this small matter is easy for him to handle. Director Su, give Dad a few days, and we guarantee that we can get these 10 or so machine tools back to work. If we can't do anything, what should we do? We can't run away." After Chen Xiao finished speaking, he quickly watched as Lin Hui hinted to her. "In fact, if we want Chen Chang to take responsibility, this matter is easy to handle. If the police station comes to cause trouble, fight to the death, refuse to admit the blame, or report it, it's all fine, but it's too laborious." There are two reasons why Chen Xiao is so determined to repair the motherboard. One is that this is an excellent opportunity to earn influence, and the second is to seek justice for my father. Hehe, do you really think honest people are easy to bully? Mainboard maintenance is certain, but how to repair it, to what extent, and whether there will be any problems after a period of time are all decided by Chen Xiao himself. Repairing the motherboard can be delayed for a period of time. Once the exact evidence of the false accusation is found and the culprit is identified, Chen Xiao's technology can ensure that the repaired motherboard can break down at the right time. If the equipment cannot run, it is not Chen Xiao's fault. At Chen Chang's age, Chen Xiao had experienced it before his rebirth, and what he needed the most was to receive the respect he deserved. For Chen Xiao, repairing the motherboard is too simple. Before his rebirth, his undergraduate major was microelectronics. Isn't it like playing with this antique-grade simple circuit professional motherboard? Chen Xiao now claims that he can fix it, but most people don't believe it. If he says he has an uncle who studied in Germany, his credibility will be much higher. In this era, there is blind worship of foreign countries, and the turtles in this era are real turtles, not sea turtles. Sooner or later, things will go through. It would be better if Chen Xiao could fix the motherboard and expose the lies. At that time, everyone knew that the motherboard was repaired by Chen Xiao, and the impact value obtained was still relatively small. Su Desheng looked at Chen Chang and Lin Hui. Lin Hui and Chen Xiao truly have a mother-son relationship. Although they don't understand what their son means, they said seriously, "My younger brother just returned from Germany and what he does is collect circuits. There should be no problem with this." Lin Hui couldn't figure out what an integrated circuit was. Chen Chang was still in a daze without any reaction. Chen Xiao covered his face and wondered how Muna's father, Ida, could have married such a smart and hardworking wife. After a moment of silence, Su Desheng weighed the pros and cons and said, "Chen Chang, I can give you a maximum of 5 days. Within 5 days, whether it's my younger or older brother, you must fix the motherboard for me." Su Desheng has already made up his mind. Chen Chang is the scapegoat. If he can fix it well, it's best to give internal punishment. If he can't fix it well, he will report it directly to the police. Su Desheng said in frustration, "Scattered, scattered, all scattered." The workers who were watching the commotion dispersed, and Su Desheng shouted again, "Hongza, you come to our office." With the help of the equipment department, Chen Xiao removed all the motherboards of the machine tool and brought them back. Yu reading www.uukangshu.net. The person at the equipment department looked incredulous and said, "This is imported precision equipment. What kind of uncle in your family knows?" Chen Xiao didn't say much. He took down the chips and other things on the motherboard, put them away, packed them in a box, and carried them behind the 2 or 8 bars. The 3 of them returned home. Chen Xiao sat in the living room smoking continuously, and on the table was a red plum cigarette box that had already been peeled off. Lin Hui prepared dinner and placed it on the table. Xiaozi, what are you talking about? What happened when my uncle returned from studying abroad in Germany? Don't interfere with adults' affairs. If the CNC machine tool is broken, it's not me who did it, it's not me who did it. Even if it's from the police station, the fact is what it is. Chen Xiao's generation is very rational and lacks adaptability, which makes it difficult for them to adapt to the changes in society and ultimately be eliminated by society. Chen Xiao's reasoning is this, but Su Chang clearly wants Chen Xiao to be the scapegoat, in order to find out the current strength and background of the Chen family. If Chen Xiao has not been reborn, this scapegoat is really determined. Lin Hui also put down her chopsticks and asked, Xiaozi, when did your uncle study abroad in Germany when he was farming in the countryside? I'm talking nonsense. Chen Xiao poured oil and spicy seeds into the white rice and ate it in big gulps, with a few pairs of words. You're talking nonsense. Xiaozi, it's clearly not your father's responsibility. It's good that you take all of it. We can't even make sense now. Lin Hui was so angry that her chest hurt and kept reciting, my son's biological. Chen Xiao said, I can fix this motherboard. When I was in computer class, the teacher taught me. I said my uncle was studying in Germany because he wanted them to believe me, otherwise I wouldn't be able to get this motherboard back. As soon as Chen Xiao finished speaking, Lin Hui and Chen Xiang placed their chopsticks. Chapter 7. The motherboard cannot be repaired. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Xiaozi, what are you talking nonsense about? Chen Xiang felt very uncomfortable, feeling that his father was really weak. I know you want to help your family take some responsibility, and you don't want me to be in the factory. Chen Xiang poured the wine on the table into his stomach, but this matter is beyond your ability. Is CNC machine tools a high-tech product or an imported product from Germany? Your computer teacher may not even know, do you? Chen Xiang said, you're about to take the college entrance examination. You don't have to worry about this matter, I know how to handle it. Chen Xiang said that, in fact, he really doesn't have a good way. Even if he finally takes responsibility for the machine tool being burned, the job in the factory will definitely be lost. Chen Xiang, who was feeling frustrated in his heart, continued to drink with his head down. The middle-aged man's powerlessness and incompetence made the family suffocated. Chen Xiao is not a child, he can understand Chen Xiang's last dignity as a father in front of the child. He stopped talking and buried his head in eating. After dinner, Chen Xiao returned to his room. He took out the motherboard of the CNC machine tool and conducted a detailed study. This batch of machines was produced by Demiage in Germany in 1995. The volume of the motherboard is much larger than that of later generations, and the machine motherboards are matched with specialized chips. This type of specialized chip motherboard will be rapidly phased out in the coming years. Later, Xia's CNC machine tools, after using general-purpose chips, have embarked on a path from imitation to innovation with the development of national integrated circuits. Chen Xiao found that most of the motherboards were burned, making it very difficult to repair them on the original motherboards. I have looked at several motherboards in a row, and they all have the same problem. The huge current passing through the motherboard instantly caused many capacitors to be damaged, and some components instantly generated high temperatures, directly melting some parts of the motherboard. In theory, the machine tool uses a 3-phase voltage of 380 V, and the neutral line of the control transformer needs to be grounded. However, Chen Xiao went to the factory today to check. There was only one messy word in the wiring. In other words, whether the machine tool has a grounding wire or not needs to be marked with a question mark. The motherboard cannot be repaired, but it can be reproduced. It is absolutely impossible to replicate a signal motherboard according to the current technology of Xia country, according to Demiji. But Chen Xiao can definitely change the circuit, make the motherboard bigger, simplify the design of precise circuits but increase the quantity, as long as the machine tool can run automatically. Chen Xiao tried to simplify the circuit as much as possible, and it doesn't matter if there are more circuits. This way, factories in Jiangcheng or Jiangzhou should be able to produce. In the summer of 1999, due to the rise of VCD, DVD industry, and CNC machine tool industry, there were already many integrated circuit contract manufacturing factories, but there was still a significant gap in level compared to overseas ones. It is very difficult for these factories to design an integrated circuit, but some simple integrated circuits can still be made by following the example of others. Chen Xiao took out his homework and began designing the machine tool motherboard. From simple to complex, Chen Xiao designed a total of 3 drawings. If the production was based on the simplest but with the most circuits, then these more than 10 CNC machine tools would need to be patched with a big belly under the machine, and the original motherboard position of the machine tool would definitely not fit. Although Chen Xiao's integrated circuit diagram is large in size, its principle is simple and easy to maintain. After all this work, it was already late at night. Chen Chang and Lin Hui's room lights are still on, so they must not be able to sleep tonight. Chen Xiao can't explain anything more to the two of them now. He can only make them worry for a few more days. Once they find a factory here to process the motherboard, the matter will be easily resolved. The next day is the last day of the first examination. In the morning, it's science and engineering, and in the afternoon, it's English. Li Zong didn't say much about Chen Xiao's strengths. English was difficult for Chen Xiao in the past, but much simpler for Chen Xiao now. Jiang Wei and Deng Chao continued to request Chen Xiao to deliver the answer, and of course Chen Xiao was willing to do so. On the contrary, when Su Qiao had a conversation with Shen Wei before the English exam, she looked down on Chen Xiao if there was any indication. Su Qiao bought 2 bottles of Sunrise iced black tea and handed one to Shen Wei, saying, "Shen Wei, what university are you planning to attend?" The college entrance examination system in 1999 was to first take the exam, then estimate the score by oneself, and then fill out the college application form. After filling out the college entrance examination application form, the score was determined. To attend a university that you aspire to, not only do you need to do well in your exams, but you also need to fill out your choices properly, and ultimately, you also need a lot of luck. So, Shen Wei doesn't know what kind of university she will take the exam for now. Shen Wei took the Sunrise iced black tea and thanked her before saying, "I haven't figured it out yet. Maybe I'll go to Yanjing." Shen Wei actually didn't say that her dream university is Yanjing University. The city that girls in this era yearn for the most is not Yangcheng or Shenzhen, let alone Suzhou and Hangzhou, but the capital of our country. Yanjing. Upon hearing Shen Wei's words, Su Qiao's eyes lit up and she said, "Yanjing University and Shuimu University have some spots in Jiangyang province every year. The requirements are school recommendations and comprehensive inspections. If you have competition experience, it would be even better. This time, it seems that both Yanjing University and Shuimu University will come to our school for recruitment. Your grades are so excellent, maybe the school will recommend you." In fact, Su Qiao wanted to say that if there were no surprises with the enrollment recommended by the school this time, it should be herself. Last month, the 1999 Olympic Mathematics Winter Camp was held at Yanjing University. However, Su Qiao's family had a lot of connections with him and spent a lot of money to participate. Su Qiao also took a week off from school and used some means to win the second prize. These are all advantages of Yanjing University's recruitment. Su Qiao's father, Su Desheng, also said that there is no problem going to Yanjing University. But this was originally a covert operation. Even if Su Qiao was excited, she couldn't say it. Hey! It's really uncomfortable not to pretend to be forced. Shen Wei hesitated for a moment, obviously unaware of such a thing. She said, "It shouldn't be me." To put it this way, Chen Wei actually has some small expectations in her heart. Chen Xiao is a human spirit. After hearing Su Qiao's words, he probably knew the result. He handed Chen Wei a bottle of sharp-mouthed peasant spring, which was a little sweet. There are aspartame and acesulfame in Zuricheng ice black tea, which are all essence. It's good to drink less, and the mineral water is healthy. Su Qiao felt very unhappy when her conversation with Chen Wei was interrupted. Little did she know that Chen Wei looked at the mineral water handed over by Chen Xiao, hesitated for a moment, put down the sunrise ice fire tea, and took Chen Xiao's Nongfu spring. Now Su Qiao is about to explode in place. Looking at Chen Xiao's departure, Su Qiao couldn't help but sarcastically say, "Don't let some people fail the English exam this afternoon." Su Qiao's family has good conditions. In addition to having a dedicated English teacher to guide him, he often participates in English summer camps, and English is his forte. Chapter 8. This era is too difficult. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Chen Xiao listened to Su Qiao's words with a smile, ignored him, and went to the exam room alone. As the saying goes, the soul belongs to people in their 30s. What should we do with children in their teens? In the afternoon English exam, Chen Xiao, who had been proficient in reading English papers and writing them in English long before his rebirth, looked at these English multiple-choice questions, closed tests, and reading, just like in pediatrics. The English essay is even simpler. The title is: Assuming you are Li Hua, you have an American friend who is planning to come to Jiangqing for summer vacation. Please write an email to him introducing the weather and scenic spots in Jiangqing. Sure enough, it is Li Hua, who has a flowing English test paper. When Chen Xiao was doing the exercises, he still had some reservations, otherwise he would have received full marks for everything, and there wouldn't be much room for improvement in the future. Chen Xiao completed the English exam, which was supposed to take 2 hours, in less than 40 minutes. According to the requirements of the college entrance examination, I waited for an hour before submitting my paper. After the first diagnosis, it is a rare time for high school seniors to catch their breath. The next 2 days are Saturdays and Sundays, and high school seniors do not need to attend classes. They can rest well at home. After finishing the exam, Chen Xiao did not go home immediately, but went to the internet cafe near the school to check information. In this era, there were no particularly formal internet cafes, and the so-called internet cafes were just computer rooms. There were 7 or 8 computers in dim rooms, most of which still used the Win95 system, and a few used Win98. Before going online, the boss in the computer room needs to make phone calls and dials, and all the operations are so antique. Because it's not yet school time, there are only 5 people in the computer room. 3 are playing Red Alert 95 online, and 2 are playing StarCraft. The internet fee is not expensive, it costs 1.51 yuan per hour. When Chen Xiao sat in front of the computer, he regretted it a bit. He didn't come online today to play games or experience 99 years of internet cafe life, but to search for information. Check if there are any integrated circuit manufacturing factories near Jiangqing or Jiangzhou. At this moment, Chen Xiao suddenly realized that the 1999 Baidu search engine had not yet been born. Although Google was born, it had not entered the Xia country, and the internet speed through phone dialing was extremely slow. Even Google outside Shanghai was impossible. Even if someone can access Google, it is still a question mark whether Google has included the phone numbers of integrated circuit manufacturers in Jiangyang province. Chen Xiao stared blankly at the big belly 15-inch monitor miscalculated. Using a computer to search for information is not as effective as calling 114 to check the phone yellow pages. The students finished school one after another, and a strange scene appeared in the computer room. There are a total of 8 computers in the computer room, and 7 of them are playing games. Only Chen Xiao has a web page open and doesn't do anything. Behind Chen Xiao, there were many students anxiously waiting for someone to get off the plane and go home, playing for half an hour or an hour on their own. Brother, are you still online or not? What does this mean by being stuck on? The famous man with disheveled hair in his 20s couldn't help but urge. Chen Xiao stood up and gave up his seat, saying, "You play." The computer room owner said, "You still have 45 minutes left. I won't refund you if you get off the computer now." Chen Xiao waved his hand to let the fluffy man surf the internet and said to the computer room boss, "No refund, can I use the phone?" The boss nodded and said, "Feel free to hit." The disheveled man was extremely happy and patted Chen Xiao's shoulder, saying, "Today I remember my brother. I'll treat you to the next round." After speaking, the disheveled man opened the Red Alert 95 and chose the United States, picking 7 out of them with coldness. In this era, the youth of Xia country all had some envy and admiration for the United States to some extent. Chen Xiao borrowed paper and pen from his boss and searched 114 to find out that there is an integrated circuit factory in the provincial capital city of Jiangzhou, which is more than 40 kilometers away from Jiangcheng. It mainly produces motherboards for domestic VCD and DVD OEM equipment such as Ado, Xianke, and Wanlida. As long as you can make a motherboard, there will be the most basic raw materials and equipment, and that's no problem. Do I love VCDs and DVDs? What an ancient name. Chen Xiao has read a joke online and knows that this thing seems to be endorsed by Jackie Chan. The products endorsed by Jackie Chan are, of course, endorsed one by one. However, in this era, there is no such meme, and Jackie Chan is still a hot star. Following the reminder from 114, Chen Xiao took note of the other party's phone number and the name of the factory, and prepared to take a bus the next day to take a look. Returning home at night, although Chen Chang and Lin Hui didn't say anything, Chen Xiao could feel some unusual atmosphere at home. After dinner, Chen Xiao returned to the dormitory and indeed overheard the conversation between his parents. Chen Chang's work has been suspended and there is no work left until the machine tool is repaired. Thinking that his child was about to go to college and couldn't make money, Chen Chang was so worried that his hair turned white. Chen Xiao really wants his parents not to do anything and just rest at home. It shouldn't be long before he can earn a lot of money. But thinking about his father's self-esteem, Chen Xiao could only come step by step. Only by going to college, being independent and having independent space, can everything be natural, whether it's starting a business or making money. At that time, my dad can enjoy a peaceful life. Yu reading www.yuukangshu.net. The most crucial thing now is to help Chen Chang find his confidence and self-esteem. The next morning, Chen Xiao used the excuse of going to the city library for self-study and left at 6 o'clock. After a bumpy ride for an hour and a half, Chen Xiao arrived in Jiangzhou city with a 5-cent bus and a 5-yuan bus. And more than a decade later, the high-speed railway from Jiangcheng to Jiangzhou was opened, and this journey only took less than 10 minutes. Jiangzhou Delong Technology Company, Limited is a local enterprise in Jiangzhou. The boss is a local from Jiangzhou, who seems to be some kind of turtle. He worked in a Taiwanese-funded enterprise in the early years, but later went overseas to nervously establish this technology company that mainly produces integrated circuits. The main job of DeLong Company currently is to contract motherboards for many domestic VCD and DVD manufacturers. In 1999, VCD began to decline after reaching its peak, while DVD emerged simultaneously. The VCD market in this era is like the mobile phone market in the future, with fierce competition and many participants, like a red ocean market. The original IDWA's output value increased from 200 million in 1996 to 1.6 billion in 1997, and then became the king of CCTV with 210 million yuan, which is enough to demonstrate the profit and attractiveness of this market. However, it is a great pity that whether it is IDWA, Xianke, or Wanlida, they do not know that it is not other VCD or DVD brands that have killed VCDs and DVDs, but rather computers and even tablets, set-top boxes, and smart TVs behind them, which have been hit and killed by new technological dimensionality reduction. After getting off the bus, Chen Xiao took a 2 yuan tricycle and finally arrived at the factory in Delong. Chen Xiaojiang was stopped by the security guard just 2 steps inside. "What are you doing? This is a factory, don't enter randomly." Chapter 9. Amazing Design. You are listening at Novel Full.audio. The security of the factory was still very responsible, and they stopped Chen Xiao. After looking up and down, they said, "Children, go play on the side. This is the factory." Chen Xiao was already prepared and took out the complex circuit diagram he had designed, saying, "I'm from German company Demigi. This time I'm here to see if I can cooperate with you." Chen Xiao handed the circuit diagram to the security guard and spoke a few words in English. Sure enough, this move worked very well. It scared the security guard for a moment, quickly released the person, and even pointed the way. From the 1990s to around 2020, worshipping foreign things was the most serious. In this era, as long as overseas garbage vagrants can cross the sea to Xia country, they can even become professors in universities, and it is even easier to become high-paying foreign teachers in first-class high schools. I heard that someone from a German company has arrived. Li Delong, the owner and factory director of Delong Company, quickly came down with the office and the technical director to welcome them. At first glance, he looked stunned and confused, leaving everyone confused. "Are you from Demigi Company?" Li Delong wore a split hairstyle, a back leather jacket, and bright blind leather shoes, which perfectly matched the image of a nouveau riche in the 1990s. "I'm not." Chen Xiao shrugged. "Labor management." Li Delong said silently, "Little brat, go ahead. Where's the security guard? Take it out." Why did everyone come in? Li Delong thought there was a cooperative business coming, so he quickly came down to greet him. Who knew it was a little brat? The pressure on VCD and DVD contract manufacturing is very high now, and the main competitors are in coastal areas. The cost is mainly equipment and material costs, followed by labor costs. Equipment in coastal areas is cheaper than in Jiangzhou, and material costs are also cheaper. Some OEM factories that cooperate with large companies have richer channel resources and lower costs than those in inland cities. Therefore, Li Delong seems to have a lot of business, but he is actually very anxious. The security guard was about to drive Chen Xiao away. Chen Xiao said, "I'm not here to cause trouble, I'm here to talk business with you." Chen Xiao directly expanded the circuit diagram of the motherboard in his own words and said, "I need a batch of motherboards here, let's see if you can produce them." The technical manager in the factory, Wang Xiang, wearing glasses, walked over and looked at the densely packed circuit diagram, knowing that Chen Xiao was not joking. After graduating from Shuimu University, Wang Xiang worked at a Japanese-owned integrated circuit company in Yangcheng. Later, he returned to Jiangzhou to take care of his parents and was the only college student at Delong Company. Although in Jiangzhou City, Wang Xiang earns a terrifying salary of hundreds of thousands due to his high education in technology. He belongs to the group of people who truly rely on knowledge to make a living in the late 20th and early 21st centuries. Wang Xiang stroked his glasses and said, "Are you the motherboard of a machine tool? Encountering an expert makes it easier to handle." Wang Xiang looked at the blueprint in detail, first frowning, then surprised, and finally feeling amazed. This is the circuit diagram of the main board of the machine tool, which is correct, but the design is clever. Perfect. The integrated circuit diagram may seem quite cumbersome, but each set of circuits is very simple, using the simplest components and the easiest to understand wiring. What impressed Wang Xiang the most was when he took a rough look at the design, which was very perfect. Perfectly avoiding some design defects that may harm integrated circuits, such as electromigration and latch effects. And such a complex design is the easiest to encounter these effects. After using the simplest circuit combinations in the integrated circuit diagram provided by Chen Xiao, a more complex task was completed. Wang Xiang is an expert. The circuit diagram that Chen Xiao brought over looks simple, but the design is very complex. Even if Wang Xiang was born in a science class, he had to use computers and professional software for design, and the drawings provided by Chen Xiao were all hand-drawn. This technology is impossible for Wang Xiang to achieve, and his university teachers may have such complex hand-drawn circuit diagrams. Who designed this? Wang Xiang asked. Chen Xiao said naturally, "This is what I designed." What? You designed it? Wang Xiang was surprised. After all, Chen Xiao looked just 17 or 18 years old, like a student. Influence +2, cumulative influence 18. Chen Xiao reaped some influence. Chen Xiao said, "Can you produce this thing here?" Wang Xiang applied to Li Delong, "Mr. Li, we can invite this. My name is Chen Xiao. Brother Chen, go to the office to talk." The main reason why Li Delong is able to have such a large factory with annual profits of several 108 million yuan is not only because he dares to fight and compete, but also because Wang Xiang helps him keep an eye on it. So he respects this talented student very much. Li Delong nodded and said, "Okay." In the office, Wang Xiang carefully looked at the circuit diagram of the machine tool motherboard designed by Chen Xiao again, and his heart skipped a beat. Wang Xiang has analyzed the corresponding equipment through the integrated circuit diagram, and an expert is an expert. Chen Xiao nodded and said, "Yes." Before he came to DeLong Company, he was working on CNC machine tools in the company, and he was too familiar with CNC machine tools. CNC machine tools produced in Germany and Toyo have stable performance and complex design. Not to mention mechanical equipment and chips, even domestic manufacturers of motherboards find it difficult to imitate, which is why slightly more precise CNC machine tools need to be imported. Wang Xiang's heart was already racing, and he couldn't help but ask, "This is the motherboard you designed?" Yu reading www.uukangshu.net, are you trying to imitate Demaji's equipment? What about the chips and mechanical parts? Chips. Chen Xiao smiled wryly. The issue of chips will continue to get stuck in people's necks for 20 or 30 years, and there is no way to solve it now. As for the mechanical equipment of the machine tool, there are some very precise components that Chen Xiao can currently solve. Chen Xiao said, "It's not imitation, it's because the motherboard is broken, and the chips and mechanical parts are not damaged. Imported ones are too expensive, and we can't buy them from outside, so we designed and hope to produce a replacement ourselves." Wang Xiang nodded and said, "This is also a remarkable achievement. Demaji's machine tools have a wide range of applications in many fields in Xia country. The inherited circuit diagram designed by Chen Xiao only needs a small improvement to be suitable for more equipment. This circuit diagram is even a treasure trove." However, Chen Xiao doesn't think so, because soon CNC machine tools will have to replace specialized chips with general-purpose chips, and the difficulty of machine tool design will increase sharply. If you let Chen Xiao imagine designing circuit diagrams out of thin air, even if he is reborn, he currently doesn't have the ability. Moreover, Chen Xiao's goal after his rebirth is not simply to inherit circuits or machine tools. This thing can earn some influence at once and help Chen Chang regain his confidence, but it takes too long to use for making money or as a career. From design to production, and then to sales, it takes 4 or 5 years to come up with a plan. Wang Xiang took the initiative to ask, "How much do you want? Our equipment should be able to produce, but it would be a bit more troublesome. In terms of price, it may take over 1,000 boards. A board that costs over 1,000 yuan is already a fair price compared to a board that costs tens of thousands of yuan." But Chen Xiao said very freely, "I don't have money." Chapter 10. Chen Xiao, is this against heaven? You are listening at novelfull.audio. If someone talks to Li Delong about business and says they don't have money and want to go for free, Li Delong will change hands and have the security guard beat up the person before blowing them out. The tycoons of the 1990s all had a bit of a reckless spirit in them. But this time, Li Delong did not do so because he saw Wang Xiang holding Chen Xiao's circuit diagram in his hand, with a cautious expression, and he knew that Chen Xiao's integrated circuit diagram was a good thing. Chen Xiao had been fighting on the battlefield for a long time before his rebirth, and had already learned the basic skill of observing words and expressions. He has basically analyzed Wang Xiang's personality. Although he has entered society, he still has the bookishness of the older generation of intellectuals. College students who graduated in the late 1980s and early 1990s are actually the ones who respect knowledge and talent the most. Chen Xiao believes that Wang Xiang should help him produce for free, but he must pay some price himself. Perhaps selling this integrated circuit diagram to Delong Company. Or perhaps other conditions. Wang Xiang said, "Brother Chen, I have a question here that I would like to ask you." Wang Xiang took out a stack of files from the filing cabinet in the office, which is a common VCD motherboard circuit diagram on the market. Wang Xiang asked, "Brother Chen, can you think of a way to design the motherboard to be smaller and take up less space? If Delong Company wants to survive and gain greater say, it must take the path from OEM to innovation. Many VCDs on the market have large bellies, which are very large and heavy. If the volume of VCD can be reduced to make its appearance more lightweight and beautiful, it will definitely stand out." Wang Xiang and Li Delong often think that if Delong produces VCDs themselves, it may not necessarily be inferior to brands such as Ado and Pioneer. If Chen Xiao were to design a VCD circuit diagram by hand, he might have to spend some time and brains, but if he were to modify the motherboard circuit diagram, it would be relatively simple. Just design multi-layer integrated circuits. It may sound simple, but in this era of limited computer design software and technological capabilities, it is actually quite difficult. And without computer modeling to run circuits, many problems cannot be detected at all. But Chen Xiao is too familiar with some common problems encountered in multi-layer integrated circuits, and he has a clear understanding of where to lay out and what problems to avoid. Moreover, the designed circuit diagram does not require repeated production and modification, and can be easily completed in one go, greatly saving everyone's time and energy costs. Chen Xiao asked Wang Xiang for paper and pen to start redrawing. 2 hours later, the VCD multi-layer integrated circuit diagram design was completed. Design is design, and whether it can be applied and produced is not a concern for Chen Xiao. Wang Xiang looked at the design and was certain that Chen Xiao was skilled. He had also considered this kind of design, but the layout would definitely not be as precise and perfect as Chen Xiao. Influence +2, cumulative influence of 20. Congratulations, you can light up the technology tree. Is it lit up? Chen Xiaochang breathed a sigh of relief. After being reborn for so many days, he has finally accumulated 20 points of influence and can start the technology tree. Is it enabled? Chen Xiao has chosen no, he will come back home after finishing his work. Wang Xiang looked at the design and couldn't help but give Chen Xiao a thumbs up, saying excitedly, "Brother Chen. You are really a genius. You can think of such a way. Children can draw a house, and builders can also draw a house, but the value of both is completely different." The design provided by Chen Xiao can be immediately implemented. Wang Xiang was very curious about Chen Xiao's background and asked, "Are Chen brothers from the youth class of the Academy of Sciences?" In the 1990s, there was frequent media promotion of child prodigies and youth universities. In fact, youth university refers to the students in the youth class of Xiaogui University of Science and Technology. The students in this class are very young but have extremely high intelligence. Although they did not have much success later on, for people in the 1990s, they were considered geniuses. Chen Xiao said humbly, "I am a senior student at Jiangqing No. 1 High School." Shocked. Extremely shocked. Influence plus 2, cumulative influence of 22. Li Delong looked incredulous. His kid is also in his third year of high school, playing PS games at home every day, and he only scored a few dozen points in the comprehensive exam. And the young man in front of me can actually create a very impressive integrated circuit diagram with his bare hands. Wang Xiang quickly adapted to Chen Xiao's identity. The world is big, so don't sit idly by. After soliciting Li Delong's opinion, Wang Xiang said, the multi-layer integrated circuit just now belongs to our company, and we will produce 11 machine tool motherboards for you free of charge. Chen Xiao smiled and said, then please trouble General Manager Li. As usual, both parties still signed the contract. Chen Xiao is not worried that the motherboard diagram of the machine tool will be stolen by DeLong Company, nor does he care how much the VCD diagram just now can be sold for. There are two reasons. One is that this VCD and the motherboard diagram of this type of machine tool will become worthless in a few years, and Chen Xiao is too lazy to make money on it. Also, before coming to Jiangzhou, Chen Xiao had already made a copy of the machine tool drawings and sent it to the patent office. Whether or not to apply for a patent is not important. According to the country's recognition of invention-type patents, whoever invents first will be protected. Chen Xiao sent it over to prove that he had an advantage in terms of invention time. When the time came, DeLong really stole his drawings for profit, and Chen Xiao informed him accurately. Wang Xiang still wanted to leave Chen Xiao's phone number, but Chen Xiao felt very embarrassed. He didn't have a phone, only his home landline. Before leaving, Chen Xiao asked. Director Wang plans to let DeLong take the path of independent innovation. Yu reading www.uukangshu.net will make VCD thinner and produce its own brand. Wang Xiang said somewhat awkwardly, there is this plan. You know, it is now the red ocean market for VCD, and it is also difficult to do OEM work. Chen Xiao is a futuristic person, and of course, he knows that VCDs can't be popular for 2 years. Investing a large amount of money to produce new lightweight VCDs now is a bit of a loss. However, Chen Xiao cannot be a spoiler. He just kindly reminded, actually, OEM is still a way out. Currently, PC is still in the blue ocean market. At this time, if we can introduce motherboard technology from Dongyan or the Bay Area to do OEM, it will definitely be a way out in the future. Chen Xiao is just a friendly reminder. Will Wani DeLong become a leader in integrated circuits such as Gigabyte and Asus in the future? Perhaps years later, he may still be able to contribute to chip production. Wang Xiang's mind is now full of rushing to produce super lightweight VCDs. Obviously, he didn't pay attention to the meaning of Chen Xiao's words. He said, Brother Chen, at most 3 days. After the motherboard is produced, I will send it to you. Chen Xiao could only smile. He estimated that the time was within the time limit set by the state-owned machinery factory, and Chen Chang's predicament was finally resolved. And the motherboard diagram Chen Xiao gave Wang Xiang was modified by him, which is different from the one he mailed to the National Patent Office. The motherboard produced for Wang Xiang has certain defects. After using the motherboard for a certain period of time, the capacitor will automatically break. Chen Chang was clearly wronged in the factory, and Chen Xiao was not so foolish as to help the factory. Helping Chen Chang clear his grievances and gaining a wave of influence will be considered as completing the task. Even if the motherboard breaks down again in the future, it's not Chen Chang's problem.